John, Sam Blum from AL.com. I'm curious, over here, you know, a lot of these guys were recruited by Auburn, and they knew Chuma Okeke, and obviously what happened to him yesterday was difficult. Just
Raise your hand. Who's talking?
Right here. Sorry.
Thank you.
Just if you had any message to the guys who maybe knew Chuma, or even to this team when something like that happens.
You know, we were all like, you know, you shake your head as a player, you know, that's out there. You know what I'm saying? So every one of us makes you physically ill. You know, this is a sport that happens at times, and you don't want to see it happen to anybody. And the crazy thing is, you know, not only is their team playing as well as any team in the country right now, they're beating people by 25. Not only is that the case, he was playing as though he was their best player, which he probably was. So it's, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for his family and his teammates.
Nancy Armour with USA Today. This is for Cal and for PJ. PJ, first of all, how's the foot feeling today? And does your presence up here indicate that you're going to be starting tomorrow?
I don't know if I'm going to start, but I'm definitely feeling good. Got a good night's rest, got some treatment going, and I'm just feeling a lot better.
I asked him at halftime, do you want to start? He said, no, I'm good. Let me come off the bench. I said, okay. You know what's great about it? This group of players that are here, even Mr. Hagans down the other end. You know, they're gym rats. I mean, you know, PJ and I were talking about it. It's, you know, what made you do it? I love playing. I love competing. I love, you know, and you look at Reid in here in the gym all the time, Tyler and Keldon, and they're gym rats. They love this. They love the game. They love making plays. They're a pleasure to coach. I told them they added years to my life coaching this team. Well, maybe not Keldon, but the rest of them have. I'm just teasing Keldon.
Right here on the aisle, third row.
Hi, Reid. John Huang, NOLA Media. You're sitting up there on the podium, and it literally and figuratively is the biggest stage in college basketball right now. How does it feel to be just one game away from being able to get home to Minneapolis and play a Final Four in your hometown? I mean, that's really like living the dream for you. Can you kind of express to us your emotions, your thoughts, the blessings you feel for being in that position?
Yeah, like you said, just being one game away from beating the Final Four and back home, I'm really excited for it, but no more than any other game. I'm trying to just take the preparation the same way, just approach it like any other game. I feel like if you look at it too much as far as trying to go home and kind of put all that on it, that's just too much weight on it. So for me, it's just trying to approach it the same way, just enjoy it with my teammates, and just try and go out and work as hard as I can in the game.
Who has a question? Back there.
Hi, Megan Ryan with the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Tyler, I have a question for you. Obviously, you guys played a few games without PJ, who's one of your top players. Now Auburn is kind of facing the same thing with one of their top players in Okeke. How did you guys, I guess, rally around that? And do you kind of expect Auburn to do the same thing in the situation they're in?
Yeah, I think they'll still be ready. You know, they're playing, like Coach said, as hot as any team in the country. So I think they'll, you know, still come out, play their game, and I think they'll be ready to go.
Right back here on the aisle. Thank you.
PJ, if there's one person's story that is better than Reid's, it could possibly be yours, to be able to come back for a second year and then overcome the injured foot that you have, and now being playing for the Final Four. What are your thoughts about that, and what would you like to say to the people now that you're up there on the stage?
It's just a lot of hard work we all put in as a team, and it's just finally paying off. We got one more game to prove how good we are. So, I mean, we're just kind of trying to come out tomorrow and look out to play tough and how we've been playing the rest of the season. I feel like if we do that, we'll be fine, and our goal is to win the whole thing. So, I mean, that's always the back of our minds.
We're in the back. Thank you.
Lane Higgins, The Wall Street Journal. Given that the last time you guys played Auburn, it was a huge blowout win for you, how much confidence does that give you going into this game, knowing that it's more of a known entity and that you've been able to beat this opponent by a sizable margin before?
Let me say something, because I watched that tape. They haven't watched the tape. I watched it. Matter of fact, I watched it twice. We made more threes than we've made most of the season. PJ made 5 himself. You ready for this? Ashton had 4. You hear what I just said now? And so all of a sudden, you know, we have a lot of threes that we normally didn't make, which was the difference in the game. And they missed a lot of shots. But when I watched the game, it was close for a while, and all of a sudden PJ went corner, PJ went top, PJ went wing, and all of a sudden we're up 12. And then it kind of got away because they missed some shots. Here's what happened. Reid didn't play in that game. The rim was protected by both Nick and EJ. They went at EJ a little bit, but Nick went in. We blocked shots. We made those tough, and that's what happened. But it's they've won 11 games in a row. I mean, the game has no bearing on this game. Really doesn't.
This is for Callan, for any of the players. You guys have beaten Auburn twice this season. How difficult is it to beat a team 3 times in one season, and why?
We're going to have Keldon answer this, and Ashton, go back to the head coach.
You know, we played them twice already. You know, they're a very good team. Knowing that we playing them a 3rd time now, they're gonna come out, give us their all. So we can't take nobody for ease. So we just got to go out there, play together, and stay as a team.
I mean, just to piggyback what he said, we just got to come in focused and ready to play. We can't be thinking about the last 2 times we played them. They're hot right now, and they're playing really good. So we just got to come in focused and ready to go.
You know, it's funny. Fate has intervened for this team where we thought it was bad. Reid went down, and he and I went to church together because we were worried. Believe me. And it didn't turn out that way, but it gave Nick and EJ a chance to play. Then they tell me he hurt his foot at the Tennessee game. I said, when? The last play. What? He's not playing for a while. What? Now all of a sudden we get to play Keldon at 4. We get to put Jamal Baker and get him minutes. And all of a sudden it kind of plays out. In our conference tournament, we had our chances to beat Tennessee. And if we had beaten Tennessee, we would have played Auburn. I'm not sure anyone's ever beaten a team 4 times. So when you ask me about 3, I'm just happy it wasn't 4. So we're playing them a 3rd time. It's going to be a really hard game. They're playing out of their minds right now. They're shooting balls. They're playing loose. They're playing aggressive. We know. And those other 2 games have no bearing on this game.
We are halfway through the session. We have 1, 2, 3 questions up. Go, please.
Yeah, this is for Reid. Eric Olson with the AP. I ask you this because you're the old guy up there. When you saw Tyler come in, I know that you both are here first year for both of you, but when you saw him come in, what did you see in him? Did you think that he'd be as impactful as he's been this season? And if so, what did you see that made you think that?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing that I saw in him early on was just his confidence. And I think a lot of guys you can see have confidence but don't necessarily put the work in. But for Tyler, that's not the case. You see him in the gym every night, every morning, putting up reps, putting up shots. So you know that he's going to shine in these moments. So I think it's special when he gets his opportunity. It's usually in just because you see him every night, every morning, putting up reps. So I say that's the biggest thing that it's been cool to kind of see is just his progression throughout the season, is just how consistent he's been with his work behind closed doors when people don't necessarily see it. So then when he gets on the biggest stage, he's calm, collect, and he's always confident to take those shots.
On the left-hand side, Dennis.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. John, considering what Auburn basketball was for decades and decades and decades, what kind of job has Bruce done, and what specifically has he done to get it to this level?
Well, he's gotten a program where people are absolutely excited. And, Sonny Smith back in the day had it rolling. You know, he had that guy, what's his name, Charles, what's his last name? That big guy with the big head. What's his name? Oh, Charles Barkley. I peed on his statue down there, just so you know. But, you know, when you take over, you have to change a culture, and he's done that. And, you know, they struggled some in the middle of our league now. They lost a bunch of games. And it's tells you something. I always say, when things are going good, that's not coaching. When things are, it's looking bleak, and everybody's running, now let me see you coach. And let me see you do it when you're up against it, when people are doubting, when they're, you know, the outside clutter is starting to overwhelm. How do you coach now? And, you know, for him to do what he did in that stretch, and now they're 11 in a row, I'm telling you, there's no team in the country playing better than them right now. You know, we have total respect and really good players who compete and play really hard.
John, what do you remember about Reid's recruitment when you heard he was going to be a grad transfer? And, you know, when's the last time you coached a 30-year-old like Reid?
Yeah.
23.
It's funny, when I was with the Nets, I had a couple players that were older than I was when I was coaching. No, he and I have talked politics. Like, we talk, like, I can, so what do you think of Amy? I was her neighbor. She may be a good president. We were, you know, we talk about Supreme Court justice stuff. Tell me what you think. But Kenny came to me, and you know, I believe it was his brother saying, hey, he's thinking about doing this. And I remembered him when he played AAU basketball. And when Johnny got him to go to Stanford, I said, what a great get for Johnny. And Johnny and I have been friends for a long time, one of the great guys in our profession. So happy for the year they had. But then it became, okay, can we help him as he helps us? I'm not here to have a guy, you know, play 10 minutes a game, or have a guy that we're just saying in case somebody gets hurt. That's not what this is about. And what I'm proud of, I'll tell him the story. He was 260-something, and I said, you got to lose 20 pounds. You can't. We can't get. You're going to have to move better. You're going to have to go quicker. You're going to have to. So he's down to 242, and he comes in, and we're talking, and I said, maybe 5 more pounds. I said, what's your body fat? What's your? He said, 4%. I went, 4%? You'd have to give up a kidney. You kidding me? And the pleasure for me has been, he's also in the gym as much as these guys. He's also takes care of his body in the training room, stretching, coming over in the mornings at night. And, you know, how about yesterday? He got 11 rebounds, and they were tough, fought. He only took 2 shots and never said a word. He was happy as heck. Happy as heck. That's what it means to play here. Now, my hope is he has 20 tomorrow. But if he gets 20 rebounds, I'll be just as happy. And you know what? So will he. They trapped him on every chance he had. He didn't have a chance to shoot balls. They trapped him. So he just played the game as it came. Every one of these kids, and I tell them all the time how much I respect them and what they have to deal with, the clutter, what's at stake, how they have to deal with this. It's like PJ playing. I told him, I respect you, man. He's comment, I love this, coach. Are you kidding me? I love competing. And so for Reid and how it ended up playing out, it's not done yet. It's not done. He has absolutely helped our team. And I believe he's helped himself, that he's gotten better. He's absolutely committed. And you know, going forward, any team that drafts him will be calling me saying, I can't believe it. Cannot believe it. This is the greatest thing. And we've had guys in the league like that where they'll call and say, it's unbelievable. Shea Alexander, like they should be rookie of the year. Should be rookie of the year. He's leading them starting in Clippers, and they're calling, and Sam Cassell called me yesterday about him. Like, this kid's unbelievable. It'll be the same with him.
We have 4 minutes to go in the session. Before we dismiss the student athletes, we have a question in the back, 2 on the side, and 1 more back there. We'll try to get to you. Go.
John Clay, Lexington Herald leader. For Reid, I mean, obviously you guys have played Auburn a couple of times. You know pretty much everything about them. They know pretty much everything about you. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, I mean, you could take it either way, but for us, like you said, when you've played a team as much as we have with Auburn, it really just comes down to fight and how hard we play, and that's been a message all season. We can watch as much film and X and O as much as we want, but if the effort's not there, if the fight's not there, it all doesn't matter. So I think that's going to be the same thing tomorrow. Just got to bring fight and just energy, and that should be what will help us win the game.
This is for any of the non-30-year-old youngins over there. What is having an older player like Reid on the team? What has that done for you guys, just to have that leadership, I guess, and what have you learned from him?
Tyler, please.
It's great to have a veteran like Reid on the team, someone that we can look up to. Obviously, you know, he's been through a lot, so whenever we need advice or anything like that, we can go to him. But like Coach said, he's in the gym doing, you know, all that. So it's something like that, we can just follow him. So, I mean, you know, obviously it's just great to have someone like that.
There was a really nice feature article put out on Tyler in the Bleacher Report a couple weeks ago. Tyler, I asked you if you had read it last week. You said you had. And I was wondering if any of you up there, including you, John, have read that article.
I think I glanced. What did I tell you about that when you and I talked?
Not to read it.
Don't read it. It's poison. Don't read it. Season's over. Read it then. Don't read it now.
Tyler, you're
Did any
up
of you
there.
guys read it? Cal, did you read it? You read it, didn't you? You read it.
Tyler, you're up there on the big stage now. What do you want to say to all your haters out there? This has got to be very, very redemptive for you.
Who's hate? Why would you say that? Who hates you?
Nobody hates me.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Reid, so given that Kentucky is a place that's kind of known for having one and dones, you kind of had your own way of doing that this year when you came as a grad transfer. So what about Kentucky drew you to the program, and why did you pick that school as a destination?
Yeah, I'd say you hit it right on the head with that. As far as just being able to prepare a player in 1 year for what they want to do, getting a collective group of guys that have never played with each other in 1 year, you got to accelerate the process to win at a high level, and then to get in the right shape to play beyond college. I felt like it was the great option for me. Obviously, I'm a different kind of one and done as far as I already had 4 years in college and then coming here for my 5th year, but I felt like it was the best spot for me as far as coaches and the players that were already established here. So it's a great spot, and I feel like it's done everything that I needed it to do.
Final question for this 20-minute session. Go.
This question's for the bucket. I know you all aren't supposed to read the clutter, as Cal says, but your phone had to have blown up last night. All the former players tweeting about you. What was it like when you finally got your phone after hitting the big shot?
I didn't read anything really. I don't know.
Okay, at this point, we're going to excuse the student athletes to go to their breakout sessions. We're going to sit here with Coach Calipari for 20 more minutes. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Best of luck tomorrow. 1:20 tip time with Auburn, CBS, Central Time.
Have a great day, Coach. Make sure you shoot the half-court shot straight.
We're here 1, 2, and back here 3. Go, please.
John Hell with the Courier-Journal. Cal, if I remember correctly, there was some confusion when you went to visit Tyler and offered him a scholarship about which recruit you were going to see that week. What made you get on the plane to see Tyler, and how did you?
Wait, well, I don't.
There was a report you might see Zion the same day, and you went to Milwaukee instead. I don't know if that was right or not, but what made you go to see Tyler and make that offer? What did you see there?
Well, again, you know, he was. When you're doing what I do, and as hard as this is here, and as much as you have to do in a short period of time, you don't have a whole lot of time for BS. You just don't. You have to keep it real. And the only kind of guys that really will be into that are the guys that really want to play for us and for me. And, you know, the word came back that that was the case with Tyler. So I flew up, let me meet him, let me meet his family. Watched him a little bit. I'd seen him in the summers, but he had committed to Wisconsin, so we really never really followed him that way. And the more I was around him, you know, I said, you know, this kid reminds me of some of the guys we have. I didn't know that he worked the way he did. His work ethic is unbelievable, and Reid said it right. He has a confidence, but it's not fake. I've had guys that, you know, you've had to explain what it means to be fake confident. Like, you know, your swagger's fake. You haven't earned it. You haven't worked for it. You haven't done enough things to have that, and you're acting like you have it. This guy's earned his stripes. And, you know, we've been blessed. I mean, you think about him and Jamal Murray late, Shea late. I mean, we've been guys that have been late coming to us that have been vital to what we're doing. And not every kid wants to play here. They don't. I mean, and that's fine. I mean, it's not the right place for everybody. But if you really want to get after this and you want to see how good I can be, want to learn to be a great teammate, you know, I always say we probably have more volume shooters in the NBA that played for us than not even close probably. They weren't volume shooters here. Anthony Davis is going back and forth texting me yesterday after the game. And here's a kid that, you know, wasn't a volume shooter. He shoots every ball now. But, you know, you can do that, but you learn to win, to be a great teammate, to do it together, to sacrifice, you know, to serve your teammates, to be that servant leader. And he's learned it. You know, we just told him, you're not coming here to be a jump shooter. You're going to learn to play basketball. You're going to be able to get to the rim. You're going to create fouls so you can shoot free throws. You're going to defend. If you don't guard, I'm not leaving you in the game. And if you remember the Bahamas, he couldn't keep anybody in front of him. Now, all of a sudden, he's like one of our defenders that you go to.
Right-hand side, John.
John, how would you characterize your relationship with Bruce Pearl, and has it changed over the years from your time at Memphis and his at Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think there's respect between us. I mean, I really respect what he does and how he coaches his kids and how he builds a culture. And, you know, I think sometimes you're at places it's hard to have a relationship. The Memphis thing kind of bothered him because we were at Memphis and he was at Tennessee. They were the big state school, and we were in that little corner over there, and, you know, we were getting a lot of play, and it probably bothered him some. But, you know, even then, I mean, what he did there, you know, have respect for him.
Right here.
John, off topic, there's already almost 500 transfers this year. Last year, there were like 800. Last 2 years, there were about 800 apiece. Number one, why do you think that's out of control, if it is? Number two, do you think kids should be able to transfer without sitting out if the coach got fired or goes to a bigger job?
I haven't dealt with a lot of transfers in our program. We've had a couple. The crazy thing is I've stayed in touch with them just as much as kids that have played in our program or stayed 4 years. I would tell you that if a coach is fired or leaves, the kid should have the ability to do what he wants. That's my opinion. I also think they're talking about kids not having to sit out. And the one thing that happens is you probably can't lie to them in the recruiting process. If you lie, and they know you lied and you didn't do what you said you were going to do, they're going to transfer. So if you're telling them you're going to start, you're going to play 30 minutes, everything's going to run through you, and you're telling every player that, now all of a sudden there's 3 of them that aren't going to be happy because it's not true, and they leave. May do that. I don't know, haven't spent a whole lot of time on it, but I do know that when they are moving from team to team, they're going from high school to prep school, they're going to another prep school, it's probably not the best environment. And the one thing that it's hard for these kids is when you keep it real, they've got to. When I'm evaluating a player, I want to see when he's not at his best. Let me see him now. Let me see when he's not at his best what he looks like. And for a kid really to make it, in my mind, they have to face adversity and deal with it. They have to have been beaten out. Well, what do? You run, or you say it's not acceptable. I'm going to keep competing, and I'm going to go beat him out. Or someone else is working harder. So now you leave because you're not willing to spend that kind of time in the gym, and you're making every excuse. You're being enabled by people around you. I mean, I think the kids need to face adversity before they leave our campuses so that they have a chance to make it. If they've been able to do whatever they want and then they think they're going into that man's world, NBA stands for no boys allowed. No boys allowed. That's a man's world. And so I think our kids, there's adversity at every step, I would hope. And we're holding them accountable. I'm not, I'm on PJ as much as I'm on Reid and much as I'm on Keldon, and trying to hold them accountable.
Rick Bozich, WDRB in Louisville. You've said for several weeks now this team has added years to your life. Why has this team been so much fun to coach, and can you give several examples?
Well, one of the things that this team is they love being in the gym. And they're great kids. They've come from great homes, which means they're willing to sacrifice. They're willing to be about each other. And then the third thing is they're skilled basketball players. It's really fun to coach players that can bounce it, shoot it, have a feel for the game, that have a competitive spirit, that have a will to win. You're not going to win every game. You're trying to. You're trying to win every single game you play, but you don't. And at the end of the day, you just want to be able as a coach to say, every one of these kids has gotten better. Every one of the kids has improved their skills. But they have to have a basis of that. And this team did. And every day, whatever we challenged them with, they were fine. Never have gotten too high. They've never gotten too low. This has been one of those years that you go through one of these years, you think you can coach another 20. And then you go through other years and you say, why am I still doing this? This is crazy. But this is, this is a good group.
John, Daryl Bird with the Cats Paws in Lexington. Reid was talking about finding a place where he had 1 year where it's accelerated. He could do what he needs to do. How do you accelerate that process every year without cutting corners, or do you have to let some stuff go?
There's no BS. We don't have time for BS. I'm going to tell you the truth. We're going to keep it real. If you don't guard, you're not playing. If you fall behind, you fall behind. I'm playing other people. We're here playing, trying to win. We hold them accountable statistically. Rebound attempts. Every one of them knows what their rebound attempts are. If your rebound attempts are low and you're not rebounding, I'm playing somebody else. That's effort. That's energy. You're responsible for that. I'm not responsible for that. The other thing becomes, when they come here, we're telling them, you're not going to take 25 shots a game because you got a team full of guys that are trying to eat too. Now, you may take 25 in a game. I think Malik Monk had 47 in a game. I would have let him score 57 if he could have. But that's in one game. That's not a season where you're shooting every ball. And again, there's some that don't want to hear that. Some families that don't want to hear that. And so this becomes, we're in this together. We're all going to eat. This has never hurt anybody. Number one pick, Karl Towns, played 21 minutes a game. Devin Booker, I think he's still mad at me, didn't start. Had 59 and 50 in back-to-back games in the NBA. Didn't start. Never said one word. All he did is came every day like Tyler Herro and practiced and put time in the gym. Unbelievable. Anthony Davis took the 5th most shots on our team, was the number one pick. It doesn't matter here. Numbers don't matter. And so, but again, numbers matter to some kids and families, and I want more numbers. And here it's, putting yourself in a position to have success. And I don't think you can just say numbers. I don't think it is. But like I said, we've had a lot of people do well. A lot of people score well and rebound well and do well, but it's a group of them.
We have 8 minutes to go. We have 4 questions up. Go, please.
John, you frequently say to Kentucky fans, you people are crazy. And after last night, they're probably saying the same thing about you. The reality,
Why?
Well, the reality is that
What did I do last night?
a lot of head coaches end up losing their jobs because the last shot doesn't go in. And so everything seems so random in these tournament games. How do you sleep at night knowing that the entire collective hopes of Big Blue Nation is kind of resting on your decisions in the huddle, and if PJ doesn't block the shot and Tyler doesn't hit the three, then you're going home?
First of all, my mother, before she passed away, used to say, "How do you do this?" She goes crazy watching the game. She did go crazy. Well, first of all, I'm focused on what I'm doing, and I don't look at this as life or death, because if you look at this as life or death, you die a lot. And so this is what I do, trying to help these kids be the best they can be, put them in the best position to win, and be about them. That's what I try to do. I don't take this personal. I don't take it personal with another coach. And any time that ekes in, I don't coach as well. I'd like, if the other coach wants to make it personal with me, I'm fine. Then he won't coach as well. And so, you know, the fans want to win every game. And the Kentucky fans have been great to me. You know, I tell them they're crazy. They watch tapes and they'll watch the game 3 times. I watch it twice. They watch it 3 times. They're crazy. But they love it. They're invested in it. They see these players as their own children and grandchildren. It's a unique and special place. It really is. There's no place like this school that I'm coaching at.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good, Hoops.
What do you think about agents having access to elite college players, and is there a better way?
I bet there's going to be access to high school players.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that goes yet. We're trying to all figure it out. But they're going to be able to talk. A high school player will be able to have a relationship with an agent that, as long as there's nothing signed or nothing official, or, you know, I mean, that's part of where this is all going. So, again, as I go through this tournament, I'm not spending a lot of time on that right now, but that's going to be an issue.
In the back.
John, I'm wondering who you've had to tell that your swagger is fake. Who have you had to have that conversation with?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
With myself.
I mean, what are those conversations like though, with kids, and is that the toughest thing?
Are you spending time? Are you really spending time? I've had guys that their skill set, they were really struggling, but I'd come in the office at night, and it's 10:30, 11 o'clock. They're in the gym shooting. The next day in practice, I bring all the team in and said, the reason I'm sticking by my man, I came in last night, and I know he was 1 for 10 last game, but he was in this gym. I'm with him. As long as they're putting in the time and they're not, you know, I'm good with it. But you know, if you're not in there and you're not really trying to master your craft, if you're not trying to master your craft and you just want to play, just let me play. Just let me shoot more balls. If I, instead of shooting 10, you should have let me shoot 20, I could have got going. Well, what if you went 1 for 20? That's okay. Next game I'd make them. What? So mastering your craft in this sport that we play, it's everything. If you can't master your craft, which means, do you love the grind? Do you love being in the gym? Does that wake you up every day? Is that your solace? When you're feeling down, you go in and you get some shots up and you feel great leaving the building. As a coach, is it the same thing? You're down a little bit, you get in, you have a great practice, and it makes you feel great. If that's not your mentality, it's really hard to make it at this sport.
Back in the corner.
John, George Schroeder, USA Today. I wonder, kind of interested in the 3 as the shot of choice, and I wonder what your thoughts are on building an offense around making that maybe the primary or the first option. And then does Auburn resemble anybody or remind you of anybody from your career?
Well, they do a lot of stuff that Wofford does. I mean, they're gonna shoot 33s. They shot 37 last game. There's all kind of ways of doing this, and one of the ways is we're going to rely on 3-point shooting. The other way of doing this, we're going to play basketball, and if they give us threes, we'll take them. If we're spaced out there, I think there's not a college coach right now that doesn't space to the three-point line, whether they shoot 33s or 23s. I mean, one of the best teams in the country, one of the best coach teams in the country was Tennessee. They shot about 18, 19 threes a game. Literally one of the best teams in the country. We played them, and they were wars. They were veterans. They didn't turn it over. They created good shots. They moved the ball. They would guard, physical, and they only took 18, 19 threes. So there's all kind of ways of doing this. Bruce, here's the other. If you have really good shooters, why wouldn't you do it? And he has really good shooters. They shoot them, 25% of them are in transition. Another 30% of them are on pick and rolls, and the rest of them are off drives and extra passes and, finding an extra man.
Anything else for the head coach of Kentucky? Last question, go.
John Clay, Lexington Herro leader. John, in Jacksonville, even with PJ hurt, people remarked about you seem to be in a really good mood.
Who?
You. The same thing.
I'm miserable right now.
Same thing here. I mean, did you know something we didn't know, or is it just that, as you said earlier, you've really enjoyed coaching this team?
I think most postseasons, the season is the grind of it. When you're here, you have a ball with this. Somebody asked me the other day about, was it a relief to win? I don't know where I was. No. If winning becomes a relief, you're in the wrong profession. It's time to retire. Winning is fun. It's fun for these kids. You see them come together and the joy it brings because of all the hard work and everything they did together. The NCAA tournament for me personally is the greatest. You follow us. Everything we do all year is geared towards March. Every game we play, every preparation, I want to play teams that play different ways, shoot threes, don't shoot threes, 1-3-1, 2-3 zone, press us, hold the ball, backdoor us, Princeton. We want to face it all, so if we face it here, we're ready for it. So this is why we do what we do, is to get into this time of the year and try to keep your team going.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Good luck.